Once we've collected all of our measurements for each one of our unique parameters here in our Plans tab, we're going to navigate up into our Budget tab, and we're going to be able to pull those numbers in relative to those parameters and create a more accurate estimate. Before we start adding our parameters and our measurements to our estimate here in JobTread in our Budget tab, we're going to want to make sure that we see all of the fields that we need to see, including the proper formula columns that we need to see. So we're going to access our view settings by clicking on this gear icon, and then we're going to want to navigate down, and we're going to want to add one of our quantity formula, our unit cost formula, or our unit price formula columns. For the sake of today, we're going to add our quantity formula. And if we'd like to save this view so that this is always the view that we see with that quantity formula column, we could click Save. If we just want to be able to access this type of a view, we could click Save As and save this as a view that we can access from our personal views. For now, I'm going to go ahead and click Save. I'm going to go up to Close, and then we're going to navigate down to our doors. Now, before we add our measurements relative to our specific parameters, I want to show you where you can access a list of all the parameters that you've captured information for. When you go up into your parameters button, you'll see the different parameters that you have measurements for. So we have tile and doors, okay? So I'm going to close that out now, and I'm going to go down here to my quantity formula for my doors, and I'm going to search for doors. Now you can see that I've got the overall parameter of doors, and then I've got the unique measurements for in-swinging doors or second and third floor doors. But we're just going to go ahead and select the entirety of our doors parameter. And then when I click off of it, you'll see that it pulls in that value across all of the measurements that I have there in my Plans tab. So we've got 18. Next, I want to add my tile. So I'm going to come down here to plus item, and I'm going to add this herringbone tile. Okay? Now, we're going to go back over here to our quantity formula, and when I click into that field, you can see that I've got several different tile measurements relative to that parameter of tile. So I've got tile overall, I've got my kitchen measurement, and then I've got my bathroom measurement. So let's just pull in all of that measurement because I'm going to use the same tile for both spaces. All right, so we'll click in tile, we'll click off of that, and then you can see that I've got my measurement. Now, each one of these fields within your formula columns will give you the ability to utilize mathematical equations in order to calculate your values based on the measurements that you've collected and what equation you give it. So if we wanted to take tile, and let's say we wanted to give ourselves a little bit of overage. So we wanted to take tile times 1.1. So that we had 10% extra tile. And I click enter, and I move over here. You can see that it's calculating this value with 10% extra. So you can see that by leveraging formulas in your estimates and utilizing your measurements relative to your parameters, you can more accurately estimate for your customers. If you have any other questions about adding measurements from your parameters to a budget, reach out to your customer success manager, or you can email us for support at JobTread.com.